Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports here on the BSing Network. With me, as always, is my co-host, Ryan. As you can see, we've got a new co-host with us, or another guest with us today by the name of, and I got to apologize because my wife tried to tell me how to say your last name like 6 times, and I'm deliberately saying it wrong this time. We have Frank E. Wing on with us tonight. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing good.
So the E stands for electronic, right? It's like electronic wing, E-wing.
So, you and every other telemarketer on the planet have called me E-wing since the day I started taking calls of my own. It is pronounced Ewing, like the letter U, actually, wing at the end.
Okay. Yeah, your name is spelled wrong.
What was that?
You said your name is spelled wrong.
Yeah, I wanted to give you
it is. I think a lot more people would get it correct if it had a U at the front.
Yeah. So for those of you who haven't been tagging along the last few weeks, we're going to start our day with Immaculate Grid, which, by the way, we are on a 1-week winning streak. But before I pull it up, thank you to Orphan Rivers for the intro and outro music. If you have not checked them out yet, please check them out on Bandcamp and give them a like and a follow. So let's get right into it with the Immaculate Grid. As per the last few weeks, we only had a few minutes to look at this before we decided to do it. And it's a good one because, as you can see, it's probably got a lot of the stuff that we're doing in our baseball draft.
So you can see down the left side, we have 3,000 plus career strikeouts for pitching, of course. If you have that for hitting, good Lord. Boston Red Sox and Hall of Fame. Across the top, we have 300 career wins. Pitching, of course, New York Mets and Cy Young.
So how would you like to start this one off? We had already discussed what we were going to do.
Let's roll the dice, okay? Because we asked Frank. He's also pretty sure about this. We think Jason Bay played for the Red Sox. I know he played for the Mets because that's when his career went downhill naturally. But
there it is, 8% on Jason Bay. That's a good one there. Good job.
Okay, now time for the easy ones.
Yeah, let's knock them out real quick.
Bottom row, we've got Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox.
In that order?
No, it'd be Maddox there.
Maddox. Not Mike.
Select the correct Maddox, please.
Glavine.
What's his percentage there? I can't see that.
18% on Greg Maddox. Sorry, I should have said that quicker.
Off the shitty start.
New York Met Hall of Famer, we're going to go with Tom Glavine here.
Because Seaver's too easy.
6% on Tom Glavine. That's a good choice there. And then, obviously, we're going to go with Smoltz here as the – I can't see it anymore. What was that? It isn't working anymore. Did we just lose internet?
No, I hear you just fine.
No.
Okay, he can hear me, so that's good. All right, well, something's going on with my computer because it won't tell me.
Just being slow. They don't want us to be excellent, do best.
I feel like Immaculate Grid does that to me a lot. But you have a J-O-N, I think.
Oh, yeah, see, you're screwing up his name. Just type Smoltz.
And it didn't come up the first time. That's my bad. 5% on John Smoltz for Cy Young winner and Hall of Famer.
You'll find out in a second why we picked those three names.
Well, more like a minute, but we'll get there.
300 career wins for Boston. Clemens did
Roger
it.
Clemens.
I don't know if anybody else that actually won 300 games and pitched for Boston.
Pedro only won 250. Yeah, we did that last week. Yeah, so Clemens it is.
And how does it not close to 100%?
65% on that. We knew that was going to be high.
Okay, so Boston and Cy Young.
Pedro, right?
Pedro, yeah.
Although that's also mega obvious.
Yeah.
Do you have somebody else?
Beckett didn't win a Cy Young with Boston, right?
No. He won it.
No, and Schilling didn't either, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Schilling never won a Cy Young.
Pedro it is.
Yeah, let's get our streak going.
54%.
Yeah, wow.
300 wins, 300 career strikeouts, Randy Johnson.
All right, hold up now. Go Walter Johnson.
Walter Johnson?
Yes. Go Big Train.
Well, Nolan Ryan's an easy one there, too.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying let's go Walter there because he's so far back. I think he's going to be less picked.
Didn't we find out that we couldn't do stuff that was really early?
I picked Walter Johnson in a grid 2 days ago. Should work.
Walter Johnson, 9%. Very good.
Look at that uniform. That's awesome.
Mets 3,000 career strikeouts.
I mean,
So I was doing this a few weeks ago, and I had a Mets category, and I was surprised. I think it was Seaver had only played for 11 years. So
Okay, maybe he didn't strike out 3,000.
yeah, so I think it's a little. I'm pretty sure it was Seaver that surprised me like that.
Well, I mean, Scherzer was a Met, and he struck out. Well, no, because he did it with the Dodgers. Is that the criteria?
No. They
No,
can get the 3,000 K at any point. Doesn't matter which team.
Then we have Scherzer. Scherzer's an opportunity person.
He's also going to be really popularly picked because he just did it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of people. So I think Nolan Ryan, he started with the Mets, didn't he? Was he drafted by the Mets?
I thought he was an Angel for the longest time. I thought he came up with the Angels.
He started.
I just mean from
he did pitch for the Mets, 100%.
Yeah, and I don't think people would guess Nolan Ryan as a Met because he primarily was on the Rangers, the Astros, had some time with the Angels. I only say that because I don't think people typically think of him as a Met.
I could get on. I would pick Nolan Ryan over Max Scherzer if it was up to me.
And you're pretty confident on that there, Frank?
I know he
feel good about it, yeah.
23% on Nolan Ryan.
I'm curious as to what Scherzer and Seaver would have been. Okay, so 3,000 career Ks and Cy Young. Cy Young obviously can't win the award. It was named after him.
We have current guys like
Cy Young become a thing.
We learned that it became a thing in 1956.
Was that Cy Young?
I don't know. We look up a lot of things on the show. They're all starting to run together at this point.
I mean, I do it on a regular basis.
Award winner.
Who did you say, Frankie? I'm sorry.
So I mean, you have current guys like Verlander and Scherzer who are
1956.
Both of the clips 3,000 Ks.
Well, I mean, there's always Randy Johnson.
Yeah, Randy Johnson. And
I think 3,000 Ks.
I think he would fall on the lower end.
Yeah. Like, we can fill the grid, but let's see if we can get it fairly rare here because, you know, the Boston guys killed us. Cy Young, 3,000 Ks.
Trying to think of guys we had on the show the last couple of weeks.
I think Seaver struck out 300K.
3,000.
3,000.
So I just saw that.
I thought so too, but he's saying he only played for 11 seasons. You gotta really.
I think Seaver played for like 18 years. I know Ron Darling didn't play a long time with the Mets.
Seaver pitched for 18 years?
I mean, he's got 300 wins. There's no way he only pitched 11 years.
That's a good point.
Well, maybe it was somebody else I was thinking. It could have been a Dodger pitcher I was thinking of too. Koufax may have been 11 years.
Well,
yeah, Koufax had a short career.
19 years. 19 years. Tom Seaver, 19 years. So Would you guys like to go with Tom Seaver here?
I feel like it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Cy Young.
Rarity score of 190, so he must have not been very common. 3%.
Nice.
He was probably used for the Mets categories, whether it be Hall of Fame or 3,000 Ks.
That's a good point, yeah.
All right, who are the most popular picked in each square real quick?
Show summary. The most popular picks in each square are, in the top left would have been Nolan Ryan at 30%. Tom Seaver, you're right. Tom Seaver at 42%. In the top middle, and Randy Johnson, who I wanted to pick, 31%. Glad they talked me out of it. Then obviously Clemens and Pedro are the most in the Boston ones.
Was Pedro a 300 winner? 300 win?
No, he did not win 300 games. I wouldn't be surprised if that was that square, the Boston 300 wins, had the least amount of success because of that. I bet you some people thought Pedro won 300 games and he did.
I'm curious who the other guys are aside from Roger Clemens. That
scroll up. We can check that.
Yeah.
So it is Clemens, and then
there's only 4 guys, so that
which square did you look at?
really narrows the field.
One that it told me. This one here. So that should be the only thing that pulled up.
300 wins and Boston.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to look at teams all the way over the side there.
Nothing on this laptop guy.
To just hit the scroll over bar. It has all the 300 winners. So Lefty Grove would have qualified.
Old Hoss Radbourn, Tom Seaver.
Tom Seaver pitched for Boston.
I would not have guessed.
Nope.
Yeah. Nor did I realize that lefty pitched for the Red Sox.
What square was the least commonly correctly picked?
Uh,
Hold on.
Yeah, the one you said, the 300 career wins with Boston. Yep. Now the New York Met Boston player one, that was right behind it there, 64-65% each.
I'm curious as to who they would have confused that for. Just probably anybody. But yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row here. We're perfect. Whoop whoop.
All right. Now,
time for what you all came for, me to dominate another decade draft.
Logan Stone, thanks for being here, bud. He says, I'm so offended your screen is flipping me off. And then he laughed. I don't know. The microphone. Yeah, sorry. Not sorry. And then he said, yesterday I scored a 55. He's talking about the Immaculate Grid. Thank you again for those of you over at Immaculate Grid for giving us something to talk about here on BSing Sports. That's the lowest I've ever gotten. Then I saw a foolish baseball got a 12. That's a freak. Ryan and I have gotten pretty low scores, but 12 is.
Yeah, I've never gotten 12. I've gotten double digits before. I think the best I've gotten was somewhere in the 60s.
Yeah, I think mine was like 75 is the lowest one I've gotten.
Now, Bill, I don't know if you know Craig, but guy that we grew up with, Brad and myself.
I know Craig.
Yeah, he got a 19 the other day. Now, he's gotten into a routine where he knows which guys are used the least frequent. So he's found a nice little groove in using the same guys over and over again when they cross over to new Immaculate Grids. But a 19.
Yeah, Craig's memory is really good. Like that, yes. I do know. Just knowing him personally. So that doesn't surprise me that he did it like 20 times and figured out a pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we are, again, as we have been doing the last couple of weeks, we're doing a draft. This year it's all 1990s. Ryan did a spinny wheel thing to tell us who gets to vote for or pick first.
So the draft order will be our new GM, Frankie. He's going first. I get the second pick this time instead of the third, and the third will be Bill. For the available players, we have Darren Dutch Dalton, Mike Piazza, and Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. At first base, we've got Jeff Bagwell, Mark McGuire, Rafael Palmeiro. Second base, Roberto Alomar, Craig Biggio, and Chuck Knobloch. Third base, we've got Chipper Jones, Robin Ventura, Matt Williams. Shortstop, Nomar Garcia-Parra, Barry Larkin, Cal Ripken Jr. Left field, Albert Bell, Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn. Center field, Ken Griffey Jr., Kenny Lofton, Bernie Williams. Right field, Juan Gonzalez, Sammy Sosa, Larry Walker. Designated hitter, Mr. DH himself, Edgar Martinez, Paul Molitor, and Frank the Big Hurt Thomas. Pitchers, we've got the Rocket, Roger Clemens, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, wonder where you just heard those names, Mike Messina, and Kurt Schilling. So, as per usual, we get one from each position, except for the pitchers, we draft two.
So, 2 minutes starting. Not that I think you're going to need it very long here, Frank.
No.
You are on the clock for 2 minutes, and were we right earlier? Were we correct with your pick?
You are absolutely correct. Now, again, I think it's hard if you're basing it just on talent alone, but when you're talking about consistency throughout his career, he didn't have to worry too much about injuries. Barry Bonds is head and shoulders above everybody in the field. So,
you're talking 162.8 wins above replacement. He literally had an entire season of games wins above his replacement.
Just silly.
Yeah. So the stat line for Barry Bonds reads off: 7-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, 8 Gold Gloves to boot, 12 Silver Sluggers, career .298 hitter with a .444 on-base percentage. To translate that into a fraction, every 9 at-bats he's getting on base 4 times. A slugging percentage of .607 to bring his OPS to a rather pedestrian 1.051. 762 home runs, 514 stolen bases. The only player in MLB history with 500 homers and 500 steals, and an OPS plus of 182.
Fun fact about Barry Bonds is he was intentionally walked 688 times in his career. He walked a total of 2,558 times. I need to jump in here and say that I'm going to have to apologize for my brother-in-law. There has been an ongoing argument in our homes about who the overall better hitter, Tony Gwynn or Barry Bonds, was, and looking at the stat lines on top of each other, because that's where I've got them listed. I concede. I will concede that Barry Bonds is the better all-around player at the plate. Very specifically, it was just at the plate because Barry Bonds is obviously the better player all around. But no, I'm gonna go and say that I concede. It is in fact Barry Bonds' dad. You're not looking at the stats that I'm looking at. It's not Gwynn. It's Bonds.
Bill, you and I were together
He's
with
probably very
my brother-in-law. We were the three of us were together 2 years ago, and I remember having that conversation in the car as we were sitting in the car. You had asked me who I thought was the best hitting outfielder or the best hitter of our youth. I think it was how it was phrased, and I did say Tony Gwynn, but and only because I think I associated Barry Bonds with more of a and I talked to you guys about how successful he was in the 2000s. Consider myself almost adult-ish as he turned into an absolute beast. So.
Yeah. But I think you're in agreement with me here that he does in fact get at least Brad gets me to concede that Bradford can't see the camera. Bradford, you were right.
I don't know that he'll ever hear that again on this show.
not from me.
Moving on to 102. So you guys have seen a bit of my draft strategy by now. I may not always take the most talented players on the board, but there's always a reason behind what I do. I'm going to take the player that gives me the best positional advantage here at his position because he is far and away a cut above the rest of the guys available on the draft board. You know who it is yet? Usually you get them pretty well by now.
Oh, no, I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
Taken far and away best player at his position.
Let's see. You're definitely going Dutch, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, for me, who you're describing is the kid.
No.
For me, who you're describing is the kid.
I'm taking Chipper Jones. Because
he's not the best fielder, that's for sure.
Because he may not be the best fielder, but he is a hell of a lot better than Matt Williams. And Robin, I got my ass whooped, and that's what I'm known for, Ventura.
That's true. Yeah, Chipper's definitely the
Chipper is the only Hall of Fame. I mean, not that I'm saying that, Chipper sucked and he was just better than the rest of those guys. You put Chipper at any one of these positions outside of left field, he's going to at least compete to be the best hitter at that position. So Chipper Jones, is just a Hall of Famer, MVP, 8-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, career .303 hitter with an OBP of 401 and a slugging of 529. When you have a 300, 400, 500 line like that brings you to a 930 OPS, it's an excellent number to be at. With 468 home runs, 141 OPS plus, and an 85.3 career WAR. Also, one of the best switch hitters of all time.
And that's what I was going to say. I have such a great deal of admiration for the guys that were switch hitters that were so successful from both sides of the plate. Didn't matter who you put on the mound; they could step up into the box, and that they were going to be tough to deal with.
Absolutely.
Here's a good question for the two of you here. I've obviously got my own opinion on it. Would you say that Mickey Mantle or Chipper Jones was the best switch hitter of all time?
Mantle
by knee injuries.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, he may have been his own worst enemy at times in terms of his lifestyle, but Mantle in terms of talent, yes, I'd put him above Chipper Jones.
I think playing in the era that he did too, and putting up similar offensive numbers to Chipper Jones, who played in a much more live ball era.
Yeah, I was going to say Mantle as well. It's
now Mantle had all the protection in the world. The Yankees lineups were absolutely ridiculous when he was playing.
The Braves lineup weren't exactly pushovers. The fact that they only won one World Series.
We're going to talk about that. I'm waiting for one of those pitchers to get drafted, and we'll get into that.
All right, so I'm on the clock here, number 3, and then my 1-3, and then 2-1. So I just talked about it. I'm going to have to go with the kid here, Ken Griffey Jr. We had a small text message conversation earlier about what could have been with Griffey had he not got injured so many times. He's rocking an 83.8 wins above replacement, 284 career batting average, 630 home runs, 1,800 RBIs, 184 stolen bases, 370 OBP, 538 slugging, 907 OPS, 136 OPS plus. Listen, he's in the Hall of Fame. He won the MVP once, 13 All-Star games, 10 Gold Gloves, and 7 Silver Sluggers. Not to mention the sweetest swing period ever. Period.
Yep. They should change the MLB logo to him.
Yes.
I am totally on board for that. I definitely got the kid there.
Every kid in the 90s tried to emulate his swing as much as they possibly could. I wasn't a lefty, but when we're getting in the into the wiffle ball games, and we had to switch sides depending on who we were pretending to be. Everybody wanted to be Griffey. Everybody tried to do that swing.
The hat backwards, the
whole arm
swing.
Yeah, apparently he was doing it at the World Baseball Classic this year, and he was like still hitting dingers. It just goes like we got another guy on the list that Ryan and I want to talk about, but seriously, had he not been derailed by injuries, I feel like he'd be up here in this conversation with Barry Bonds as like the best overall hitter in history.
So I don't know if you have the stat in front of you. I didn't look it up, but do we know how many games he missed? I think it was equivalent to multiple seasons, right?
Yeah, it had to have been easy because when he first started with the Reds, he never played triple-digit games the first 3 years.
That is correct.
Yeah. Which is wild. But you think about how many games he missed, and he still had, 640 home runs?
630, yeah.
Yeah, 630. I mean, that's insane.
That is insane.
What could have been is quite possibly the best player of all time. So.
Yes, and that's the exact argument I would love to sit down and make is that had he not been derailed, it was him.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Same could be said for Trout. Was heading in that direction himself.
All right, I'm going to go with my next pick. Man, that's kind of a close category. I'll wait that one. Oh, okay, so my next pick is going to be catcher. I'm going to go with Mike Piazza here because I do believe he's far and above better than the other two guys, at least at the dish, right?
Oh, yeah. He's a stud.
So 59.6 wins above replacement. He hit 308 for his career, 427 home runs, 1,300 plus RBIs. He's got the broken bat thing with Roger Clemens in the Super Bowl. Let's not forget.
Super Bowl?
World Series. I said Super Bowl. In the World Series, let's not forget. 377 OBP, 545 slug, 922 OPS, 143 OPS plus. He's a Hall of Famer, won Rookie of the Year, 12-time All-Star as a catcher, and 10-time Silver Slugger. So I think it's pretty easy, far and above, for me to go out and take the best catcher that's sitting here with Mike Piazza.
Yeah, I think that's offensively is correct. However, the next pick I'm going to make, this guy wasn't a slouch offensively. He was not Mike Piazza offensively, but defensively he was superbly better than Mike Piazza. I'm going to go ahead and take Pudge there. Serviceable enough with the bat, a career 295 hitter, I believe. Let me get my numbers up here real quick. Yep, career 296 hitter. Didn't get on base as much with a 334 clip. Slug surprisingly high at 464 to bring his OPS to 798. 311 home runs, a 106 OPS plus. Hall of Fame MVP, 14-time All-Star, 13 Gold Gloves, and 7 Silver Sluggers, surprisingly. 46% caught stealing rate. That's an insane number to throw out almost half the runners against you in history. Good luck trying to steal on me, guys.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, that 46% situation is we did Yadier Molina 2 weeks ago, and Yadi only threw out 38% of batters. So for your younger generation that didn't get to see Pudge, like he was good.
You say only, like 38 isn't.
But that's actually 40, but still, I mean, that's not even close.
Yeah. So you took my pick, Ryan.
He took my pick.
So I think this is a fair argument. You look at it from an offensive perspective, and yes, Mike Piazza was insane as far as being a catcher. But you look at the whole picture, the whole body of work. Pudge was he was a leader on the field every team he went to. Now, he bounced around for a little bit, but he was the leader on the field. He was a leader in the clubhouse type of guy. He was a man's man type of guy. He was no slouch at the plate. But there's a reason that he won MVP. There's a reason he's in the Hall of Fame. Guys don't get into the Hall of Fame, and they don't win MVP awards based on defensive stats alone and defensive. He was the guy whenever he was on the field. So if I'm picking a team captain like that, that's the way I'd want to go.
I have actually a fun historical fact about Pudge Rodriguez. Did you know that he got called up on the same day he got married? He said his I do's and then went to the stadium.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
He's also another one that, if I remember correctly, like Griffey Jr., started in his teens. I think his first game he was 19 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's accurate.
For Montreal?
Fun little tidbit, has nothing to do with our show and the draft necessarily. My mother-in-law, she works for the Rangers, She has a massive crush on Pudge and talks to him on a fairly regular basis. She does all his travel for this. He's in the part of the scouting department for the Rangers, I think now. But she talks about him constantly. She's got Pudge bobbleheads in her office. She's got pictures of Pudge. Like she is.
Hey,
Frankie,
we like merchandise.
What's that?
So we like merchandise.
Yeah. I now have a huge crush on Pudge too.
So she also works for AJ Preller. So whenever the Padres are in town, we get hooked up real nice as far as tickets. We sat. I don't know if Brad showed you pictures when he was up here.
Saw them.
Yeah, we were on the dugout, and that was all because of my mother-in-law.
Yeah, I heard you guys weren't supposed to be cheering for the Phillies, and you cheered when the manager for the Padres got thrown out.
We could cheer. We couldn't dress the part. We cheered as much as we wanted to. But yeah, we shout out to Colleen, who just absolutely hooked it up, and AJ for that matter.
Cool.
Yeah. So I lucked into that one.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right, you ready to set the clock?
Yeah. So, as I do with all of my fantasy drafts, I always want the stud pitcher on my team. And as far as now, can I ask a side question here? How did you guys come up with the list of players that we have available here? If you don't mind me asking.
We sat down and just talked back and forth about who we thought belonged in this specific decade on the list. That's it.
All right. After this is over, there's a couple of guys that I thought were worthy of being on the list, but I can't say
we know that there's extra people. Yeah.
Like Luis Gonzalez, I thought probably should have been somewhere on the list. However, I couldn't justify putting him over Albert Bell, Tony Gwynn, or of course not Barry Bonds.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and right there with Luis, maybe like Gary Sheffield was one of those guys that I loved watching.
We had Sheffield in the 2000s.
So yeah, since you bring up a good point here, real quick. So we tried not to use players in multiple decades. So we used Sheffield in the 2000s.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Sorry.
But we had a debate on which decade we were going to use him in too.
So I assume then that a guy like Randy Johnson was in the 2000s also.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. And it could have been. You're right. It could have been either way. All right. So as far as this pick, I want the stud pitcher on my squad that I know is going to bring it every game. I'll take the Rocket, Roger Clemens.
Yeah, the stat line here on Clemens is 139.2 wins above replacement. That's for a pitcher. That's so good. 354 wins, 184 losses, 312 ERA, 4,672 strikeouts, 1.173 WHIP. He's got the MVP, 7 Cy Youngs, 2-time Triple Crown winner, 11-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, 7-time ERA title winner. Just absolutely 100%. I agree with you.
I don't know if you guys remember too, if you were old enough to remember. He would when his contract ran out, and he did this on 2 or 3 different occasions. He would sit out the first half of the season, and then teams would just have bidding wars on him in July or August just to come in for those last 3 months of the season as a free agent. And he did that with the Astros and
I remember him doing it with the Astros.
That's the only one I remember him doing it with. Yeah.
I remember
he did that with the Yankees too.
He did it with the Yankees as well. Yeah. I remember when he was standing in the owner's box at the Yankees, and the Yankees made an announcement at the stadium to say that they just signed Roger Clemens, and he was there to do the wave, and the crowd just went nuts. And that was probably on their way to the Subway Series or somewhere around that time frame.
That's awesome. You are on the clock again, bud.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so as far as this is where I want to kind of pick and be smart about where I'm going position-wise. I feel as though there isn't guys on this list that look, they're all really good, but do they stand head and shoulders above the rest of their field? If we have a designated hitter, in my opinion, Edgar Martinez, and I mean Frank Thomas played a little bit at first. If we're calling Frank Thomas a designated hitter, I'm going to go with my guy, the Big Hurt.
Oh, you are going with the Big Hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were.
Sorry,
I thought you were rolling with the
what I was
DH.
going to say is that I look at Edgar as a pure designated hitter. I don't think he played too many games in the field his entire career. Whereas Frank Thomas, I think, bounced back and forth between first base and designated hitter. Ultimately, he was a designated hitter in the end of his career. He was my favorite player as a kid. Yes, we share the same name, but I had something silly like 170 of his baseball cards. Like he was my guy.
That's a number.
What's that?
So that's a lot of cards.
It was a silly number. Every time we got to pick jerseys, if there was 35 available, I was being 35. He was my guy. The Big Hurt was my boy. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Big Hurt in this scenario.
All right. Ryan, clock.
Yeah, so at this point, I don't see any glaring positional advantages.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but we're really good about those stat lines. We just didn't on the Big Hurt. So 73.8 wins above replacement on Frank Thomas, 301 career batting average, 521 home runs, 1,700 plus RBIs. You got a 419 OBP, 555 slugging, brings you to 974 OPS with 156 OPS plus. He's a Hall of Famer, 2-time MVP, 5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, and he won the batting title once.
So hit for power, hit for average.
Yeah.
He was a beast.
Rare combination.
I saw him in person once, and he just looked like a building. Like the guy was just absolutely massive, huge.
Yeah, so I'm probably this is tough. Again, I don't see any glaring positional advantages at this point.
Correct, yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick my dude. I love this dude. I'm glad that he finally made it into the Hall of Fame. Not that it was very recent, but I know he was held out for a while because he played in Colorado, and people needed to get over that stigma of Colorado. I'm going to go ahead and break the right field barrier here and go Larry Walker. One of my favorite left-handed hitters of all time, even when he went to St. Louis after that. Hall of Famer, MVP, 5-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove, so he could both do it with the bat and in the field. 3 Silver Sluggers, a career .313 hitter, a 400 OBP, a .565 slugging to bring his OPS to 965, 383 home runs, and 230 stolen bases, so there was some wheels there, a 141 OPS plus, and a 72.7 career WAR. So I'm getting it on both sides of the bat there and some wheels on the base paths.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me in that category specifically is the 7 Gold Gloves, right? Like, you're not just getting a bat there. You're getting a bat and a fielder.
And 230 stolen bases for a dude who, with Larry Walker's size, it's not that bad.
I think that he was so incredibly underrated. You know, it probably has a lot to do with the fact that he was in a small market like Colorado. But there was a guy that, to your point, he could just do everything. And we go back to Griffey and how sweet his swing was. Larry Walker had a really smooth swing, and I loved it at the plate.
Yeah, I agree that Larry Walker had a good one. My old man is asking you if you want the Big Hurts rookie card there, Frank.
Do I have it?
Do you want it?
Oh, do I want it? Yeah, if he's giving it away. I haven't seen or taken a look at my card collection. Chances are I have it already. But if he's giving it away, I will take it in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Yeah, my old man used to have somewhere around 100,000 baseball cards. They unfortunately all got ruined. So we had to throw them out. But
I don't know where in my basement my collection is, but it's down there buried somewhere.
Yeah. Well, is it in New Jersey? Because it might be wet.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. It's here in New Jersey. My parents, they held onto it for a long time. It was in a box in my garage in Mount Laurel in Jersey. But I recently acquired it when we moved back up here from Florida. My parents gave it to me. And I took a brief look at it, but it's buried in a box somewhere in my basement.
Well, I mean, apparently it's worth money because he's saying, you can buy it from him. All right, so Ryan went, Larry Walker. Again, not a ton of huge positional beneficiaries here. You know what?
While Bill's thinking about his draft pick, we're going to go ahead and bring you to a different side of it. So we've got the numbers blocked out on the right there. Hall of Famers, MVPs, Cy Youngs, and All-Star games. Frankie, How many Hall of Famers do you think are on this list without, doing any deep dive research to it? How many of these guys
How many total
from the
players?
player? Yeah, from the player pool available, how many of them do you think were Hall of Famers?
So what, we had 27 plus 33 guys. I would venture to say Schilling's not in the Hall of Fame, is he? I don't know. Let's out of 33 guys, let's say 32. No, 30, 31. 31.
31. 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Lofton wasn't a Hall of Famer. Bernie Williams, Juan Gonzalez, Sosa.
Dutch
Don't
wasn't
forget
there.
your steroid era guys.
Yeah, that's true.
How many collective MVPs do you think there are amongst the player pool?
Well, yeah, guys a ton of guys on here that were multiple time MVPs, right? 5 different players, I mean.
No, how many total awards won?
Oh, I'm going to try and go through this real quick.
He's looking at it. He's counting them.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list and I'm trying to count in my head.
5, 4,
10.
3, 10,
10.
21.
Whoa,
Bonds won 7 of them by himself.
He did, yeah.
Oh yeah. What I was doing was I was looking at the still available list on the left hand side, and I didn't even take into account Bonds. So add my 10 to his 17.
And it's still not enough.
Yeah, it's still not enough.
Cy Young Awards. How many collective Cy Young Awards?
You just said that Clemens had 7 by himself, right? So Maddox had 4, right? Glavine probably had 1. I'm going to say 16.
Close. 14.
14. Okay.
Schilling and Mussina never won one.
Correct.
Yeah. You were mentioning that earlier when we were doing the Immaculate Grid.
So how many collective All-Star Game appearances do you think there are between the 33 players? I will give you a hint. It's north of 200.
You're going to say north of 200?
Yeah, it's north of 200.
It is north. Wow. So 33 guys, and if it's north of 200, average guy has 7 All-Star appearances, which is just insane.
I mean, somebody on here Cal Ripken was a 19-time All-Star.
Yeah,
correct.
Right. All right, so let's go. Let's call the average 11. Well, north of 200. I think you would have said north of 300 if it was 11. Let's say average 9, 270, 271. Just throw a random number out there.
Pretty close, 264.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good. How you average that out in your head and you pull the number out of nowhere.
That's pretty good.
All right, well, we're going to throw me back on the clock, jump right back into this here draft. I'm going to take a guy that I know neither of you are going to be like, oh, that's a good pick. Another one of those scenarios where if he had not gotten hurt as much as he did, I think he would be the best person in this category pretty much by a long shot. I'm going to go with Nomar Garciaparra here.
I agree with that. He's the best hitter of the shortstop pool. Like, I firmly believe that. His first 3 years, I think he got half of his WAR in his first 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, so his wins above replacement is 44.3. He's got a .313 career batting average, 229 home runs.
And roll your same way out.
936 RBIs, 361 OBP, 521 slugging, 882 OPS, 124 OPS plus, won Rookie of the Year, 6-time All-Star in 14 years, 1-time Silver Slugger, won the batting title twice, and he had a .975 fielding percentage over 14 years. And again, it's just one of those scenarios where injuries really, really, really derailed Nomar Garciaparra's career. And it's a shame because I would have loved to have seen what he could have done in 19 years, 20 years, however many years he may have been able to play.
Even if he played 15 healthy years, I know he played 14 seasons, but if they were healthy seasons, I mean, we're potentially a Hall of Famer. He hit .313 for his career.
Correct. Yeah, I'm in with that. So I'm feeling really good with Nomar Garciaparra right there.
I love it too. I was a Nomar fan. I didn't like the Red Sox, but I loved watching Nomar play. I had 2 funny thoughts about Nomar today. One, if he was in the middle of his career and they implemented the clock to the game in the middle of his career, would he be able to make the adjustment without doing his batting glove routine every single time?
He undid his batting gloves, I think, twice in between each pitch.
Which is just silly. And then the other one that crossed my mind today, so him and Mia Hamm, I don't know if they have kids. I'm sure they do. Those kids have to be unreal athletes. Wherever they're at, whatever they're doing, they have to be unreal.
Them and the Ertzes probably have just unreal, athletic kids. I mean, the Ertzes when they finally have children.
Yeah.
I think they got one. Do they?
Yeah, I think that Julie just had a kid a year or two ago. So you're right. To your point, they're young. They have plenty of time.
Yeah, Julie just retired from the U.S. Women's National Team. She's 31. So
I think for my next pick, it's a good time for me to lock in my first pitcher of the draft. And obviously, if Roger Clemens is not on the board, I'm going to have to go with the obvious answer here of Greg Maddux. You got 106.6 WAR, which if Clemens wasn't on the list, I'd be like, wow, that's really unheard of for a pitcher. But it is what it is. 355 career wins, which is one more than Roger Clemens. 227 losses. Can't put all the losses on the pitchers, especially when you find out the fun stat that Ryan's going to bring up in a minute. 316 career ERA, 3,300 plus strikeouts, 1.143 WHIP. Hall of Famer, 4-time Cy Young, 8-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion. Another thing we're going to bring up. 18-time Gold Glover there. So I got a pitcher on a hill who can field his position and a 4-time ERA title winner.
Yeah, so the first question a lot of people ask is why did the Braves in the 90s only win one World Series? So Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddux pitched in 3 of those World Series together. Glavine and Smoltz ended up pitching in 2 more to bring their total to 5. So here are the numbers that I'm about to blow your mind with that make their one World Series win seem really atrocious. Between those 3 pitchers, the worst ERA in the World Series between the 3 of them belongs to John Smoltz at 2.47.
So where was the offense?
So, and I have an interesting stat about John Smoltz. He's pitched 51 innings in the World Series. He allowed 1 home run.
Wow.
So over the course of a season, about 200 innings, that's like allowing 4 home runs, which Aaron Nola does every start very regularly. So then you move to Tom Glavine. Tom Glavine at 58 and a third innings, 33 hits. Stingy. No base hits. And Maddux had the best ERA of the 3. He pitched to a 2.09 ERA in the world. Those are just World Series stats. So Glavine with a 2.16 ERA, Maddux with a 2.09 ERA, and Smoltz with a 2.47. Those guys won 1 World Series. And here's why. Smoltz allowed 8 runs in 51 innings. 8 earned runs. He allowed 14 total runs. Maddux tagged with another 4 unearned runs to his name. Glavine was only tagged with 2. So between those 3 guys, they had 14 unearned runs, I believe it was, between the 3 of them in the World Series alone. The defense behind them was atrocious. So in about 140 innings, that's 14, unearned runs, which is generally what you would see in about a 200-inning stretch.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But the worst ERA is 2.47 between the 3 of them. That's embarrassing.
Frankie is speechless.
Well, I'm trying to think who was in the field at that time.
So Andrew Jones won a dozen Gold Gloves.
Yeah, I mean you had David Justice out there somewhere. Fred McGriff was in Atlanta for a while, right? Where are the errors occurring? Like who was the liability out there?
Javi Lopez was catching.
All quality players I don't think of as being defensive liabilities, but man, that speaks volumes as to either one.
Now keep in mind, back in those days, errors were way more given out. So you got guys committing errors on TV here these days, and they're like, oh, they scored a base hit. Whereas back in the 90s, it was definitely going to stay an error. Yeah. So there's something to be said for that, but overall, no, that's just absolutely absurd that they pitched that well and only got 1 World Series.
Yep.
All right.
Andrew
Ryan,
Jones.
you are on the clock.
I am on the clock. So, again, I'm not seeing any glaringly obvious positional advantages. However, I am going to go and get the Mr. DH himself, the guy who the award is named after, I'm going to go ahead and pick up Edgar Martinez. I do think that there were better DHs after him, most notably David Ortiz, for the sake of, I think that he was just a better hitter. However, Edgar Martinez was the first real DH full-time that played as well as he did. I mean, he was obviously he's a Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Star, 5 Silver Slugger awards, hit .312, got on base at a .418 clip, and slugged a .515 clip. When you see that holy trinity of 300, 400, 500 for your slash line, and it brings your OPS to a 933, he hit 309 home runs, a 147 OPS plus, and a 68.4 WAR for a guy who has no defensive metrics tied into that at all because he's a full-time DH. So
I used to love the lineup in Seattle.
And they won 116 games and lost in the first round of the playoffs.
There was so much to like about the lineup in Seattle.
Yeah.
I loved Jay Buhner, Edgar Martinez, obviously Griffey. Who am I missing? Was Tino in there at one point too? They had both Martinez.
They did. Yeah. I don't remember if that was the year that they won 116 though. What year was that? 01?
Yeah, 01. And they lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They got swept, I believe.
And then A-Rod came in at the tail end, right? But yeah, that lineup was, I like, as a neutral baseball fan, just general baseball fan, it's hard not to like that group. They were just a fun group to watch.
I'm pulling up the lineup now real quick. So Ichiro was on that team.
Yeah,
oh, wow. Even more so than
A-Rod would have been on that team as well.
Yeah.
So they've got Dan Wilson, John Olerud, Brett Boone, Carlos Guillen, David Bell, Al Martin, Mike Cameron, Ichiro Suzuki, Edgar Martinez.
Mike Cameron. Wow.
Mike Cameron, there's another one. He kind of sprouted when he went to San Diego, I think. But
yeah, he was more defensively oriented anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the lineup they started the season with. That's not the lineup they ended the season with.
Sure.
But Baseball Reference isn't cooperating with me. So, Frank, we believe that puts you back on? No.
Yep.
Yeah,
Frank's the clock.
Yep.
We have 2 categories that touched yet, first and second base.
So the nice thing about only having 3 guys per position is that I can hold off on drafting those positions, which is good. So second base, I mean, I loved Robbie Alomar. Craig Biggio was a beast. But I'm going to go to first base. I feel like you need a first base stud. And
there's 3 of them.
Yeah. And they're all studs. We talked about emulating batting stances and swings. I love Jeff Bagwell's sit in the box stance. And every time he swung, you felt like he was just going to swing out of his shoes. But he hit for a good average too, if I remember correctly. Like he was
297.
Yeah, 297.
So he was no slouch there. So I'm going to take Bagwell and pick up my stud at first base.
It's interesting with McGuire still on the board, but I wanted to take Bagwell last pick, but I wanted to. It was too tough, so I had to let somebody else make that decision.
Yeah. Stat line on Jeff Bagwell: 79.9 wins above replacement. He leads the category of the 3 guys that we have. 297 batting average, 449 home runs, 1,500 plus RBIs, 408 OBP, 540 slugging, brings you to a 948 OPS, 149 OPS plus. He's a Hall of Famer, won Rookie of the Year. He won an MVP, 4-time All-Star, 1-time Gold Glover, and a 3-time Silver Slugger over there at first base. You picked up a stud.
And his most underrated status, he could run too. He was the first baseman in MLB history to have 30 stolen bases in a season. So
that's the piece I was going to add on. Look, Barry Bonds can run. If you're looking at my lineup, Bonds can run. Thomas is not a runner by any means.
Not against me, they can't, baby.
But Bagwell, and I'm going to add some more speed here with my next pick. I love both the bees, the killer bees, and if you add in, it was 3 bees later on. But I'm going to go with Craig Biggio at second base.
That gives you an automatic +10 for having some chemistry already established
There
on
you
your.
Yeah. Stat line of Craig Biggio really quick. 65.4 wins above replacement, 281 average, 291 home runs, 1,100 plus RBIs, 414 stolen bases, 363 on base percentage, 433 slugging, 796 OPS, 112 OPS plus, Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, 5-time Silver Slugger, and he held a 985 fielding percentage over a 20-year career.
And he started off as a catcher, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it sure
He did start as a catcher, yes.
Yeah, which is awesome. I love that story.
So that puts me on the clock. You made my first base decision fairly easy because I think the gap between McGuire and not that Palmeiro was bad, but he's not Mark McGuire.
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and grab me the Rookie of the Year, 12-time All-Star, 1-time Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger, Mark McGuire. Does not have the average that those two have. He only hit 263, but he walked a ton. He got on base at a 394 clip,
Wow.
slugged at 588 to bring his OPS to a 982. He hit 583 home runs and had a 163 OPS plus to bring his WAR to 62.2.
Yeah, in 98 and 99 alone, he hit 135 home runs. That
So-
stat alone to me is amazing.
The
We
fact
dropped
that
bombs on the team here.
the fact that he batted 260, I think you said, or close to it, and then had an OPS or on base percentage near 400. Wow, the pitchers wanted no part of him. They they consistently put him on base
He
if
He
necessary.
hit 299. So to round out his career with the steroids, he was hitting a little bit higher. His average was way lower before he started knocking bombs. So he hit 299 the year he hit 72, and then I think he hit like 290 the year he hit 65 and 99.
He must have just been doing a lot of push-ups, man. I don't know what it could have been.
Didn't he win an MVP with Oakland too?
No, he did not.
No?
Never won an MVP.
Gotcha.
No, he lost in. So you would think he would have won it the year he hit 70 home runs, but Sammy Sosa won it because he was more integral to his team.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'm on the clock for 2.
When you know what's crazy about this list? I was looking this up earlier. We're doing a 1990s list, like guys we associate with the 1990s. Greg Maddux pitched for the Dodgers against the 2008 World Series team.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah, that was his last season, 2008 for the Dodgers. He pitched against the Phillies. 3 innings, 2 runs. Guess how many of them were earned? 0.
0. I don't remember that at all.
And he started his career in the 80s.
Right?
Yeah.
2008.
He was never one of those guys who lit you up on the gun, right? He was painting corners his whole career. I love what he said.
His fastball was 83, 84 miles an hour. I did hear, and this was in the last week or so, I heard an unreal stat, how many full counts he had in his career was unbelievably low. Or how many 3 ball counts he got.
It's like 116.
And like 87 of them are intentional.
Yeah. It's just unreal.
Yeah, he said in an interview, I forget what year it was, it's been so long at this point, that, all these guys are throwing really hard and trying to disguise and hide their pitches, and they're so worried about stealing signs. I'm going to tell you what I'm throwing. I'm throwing an 84-mile-an-hour cutter at you. Here, do something with it.
Right? And and to your point, he was painting corners. He could put it anywhere he wanted to, anytime he wanted to.
That's another argument that Brad likes to have with me. Oh, the umpires were giving him 36-inch plates.
Everybody in that era got a 36-inch plate. It was part of the game. Pedro did it. Roger did it. Everybody got massive strike zone back in the day.
Wait, Brad was arguing that they were getting 36-inch plates?
He doesn't like that Greg Maddux is in the best pitcher of all time conversation. He doesn't think he should be there.
But conveniently, he also hates John Smoltz and Tom Glavine. So clearly, he's just a Braves hater and not actually seeing this to a clear level.
It's funny that you say this though, Ryan. Brad was a Braves lover as a kid.
He was.
He was obsessed.
He tells me all the time.
We were rooting for the Phillies, and he had Braves swag all the time. He had this one Braves sweatshirt that he wore constantly. He gets on me for a certain pair of pants that I wear a lot, or that I wore a lot when I was in middle school / high school. But he wore his Braves sweatshirt all the time. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Like, no, he's told me before that he used to love the Braves. So for whatever reason, like he just doesn't really care for the Maddux.
He should tell them to play more defense then.
Also, he could be defending himself right now because I told him to watch the show. But if he's not talking in the chats, I don't know if he's defending.
Yeah.
Allie looks like she says, "Can confirm truth. Lots of Braves things in the house." Allie is Brad's brother. Brad is Allie's brother. Allie is my wife.
Hey man, it's 2023. You can be married to whoever you want to now.
No, I'd rather be married to Allie.
It was Brad's brother, apparently.
All right, so we're gonna move on in the draft now. I got red cheeks. I'm gonna take Kenny Lofton's coming off the board right now. He's got a 68.4 wins above replacement. Oh no, I can't take Kenny Lofton. Never mind.
Yeah, get your
I'm sorry.
double dip.
That's my bad. I looked down. I saw 620 steals. I'm trying to jump on top of that.
So, and I was debating him with my my swing around
Wait,
pick.
why? Oh yeah, because Kenny Lofton was primarily a center fielder.
Correct. That's where you put him, so I can't have him, even though that's really.
Yeah.
I already got Nomar. Oh man, these third basemen are just horrendous. I don't want to put them in that category.
I don't have to deal with that.
Second baseman isn't any prettier. All right, you know what? I'm just going to take. I'll take Roberto Alomar here at second base. 67 WAR, 300 average, 210 home runs.
Wait, they're taking
1,100.
Alomar? No, we need to trade up in the draft and go get Alomar right now. I cannot tolerate this BS.
Too late. I like what you did there. Good BS. 210 home runs, 1,100 plus RBIs, 474 stolen bases, 371 OBP, 443 slugging, 814 OPS, 116 OPS plus. Hall of Famer, 12-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, 10-time Gold Glover, 4-time Silver Slugger, and he's fielded at a 984 percentage for 17-year career. I'm not sorry at all for taking Roberto Alomar right there. That leaves him with Chuck Knobloch. I'm cool with that. And then my third base is just so sad.
It's not good.
There really weren't better third basemen, were there? Like,
No.
That was it.
I thought
We talked
Robin
about this for
Ventura
a
had a
while.
decent career. And then
He
I
did.
went back and looked at the numbers, and I was like, wow, he really is only known for getting the shit kicked out of him by some 40-year-old man.
Oh, man. All right, I guess I'm taking home runs here. I'm going to go with Sammy Sosa.
Drop bombs, bang bombs.
58.6. Come on, man. 58.6 WAR, 273 batting average for his career, but he had 609 home runs, 1,600 plus RBIs, 234 stolen bases, a 344 OBP, 534 slugging percentage, 878 OPS, 128 OPS plus, one-time MVP, 7-time All-Star, 6-time Silver Slugger, and he hit 60 plus home runs 3 separate times in his career.
It was 3 back seasons, wasn't it? 3 consecutive seasons.
No, I think so. I think the year that he hit 66 was the first. Then he did it the next year, but he did it 2 years after that.
Okay.
I think he got injured in that one season.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I'm going Sammy Sosa, not apologizing here
He
at all.
kind of had not as drastic, but he had a similar stance as Jeff Bagwell, where he kind of sat down in it a little bit.
I used to love how he would pull his toe in. He would like cock and load his whole body and then go. I used to love that.
But the step out of the box, the hop, I should say, out of the box, that was his signature.
Yeah, I remember that too. I used to try and emulate the Sammy Sosa swing because he was a right-handed batter.
Yeah.
So it was more familiar for me as a righty. All right. So Ryan, you were on the clock. There are very few picks left.
Yeah, actual forced picks left. We are looking a little slow in the lineup here.
I guess you're going Kenny Lofton here.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
600, man, that's a lot of stolen bases. 622 stolen bases.
I'm going to go ahead and grab me a little bit of speed, some great defense, and not Kenny Lofton. I'm going Barry Larkin.
Barry Larkin. All right.
Barry Larkin, again, we know Cal Ripken has the pedigree for being Iron Man, that kind of resume. I do think as far as talent goes, he's the least talented in the field. Barry Larkin, Hall of Fame, MVP, 12-time All-Star, 3 Gold Gloves, so I'm getting a little bit of defense there, 9 Silver Sluggers, career 295 hitter. Hitting like in the 290s and 300s as a middle infielder is really uncommon. You know, your big bats are generally on the corners. So 295, 371 on base percentage, 444 slugging to bring his OPS to 815. Just under 200 home runs, but he also had 379 steals, a 116 OPS plus for a 70.5 WAR.
So you said you think Cal Ripken was the worst fielder in this category. He was not. He was the best fielder in this category. Both Nomar Garcia-Parra and Barry Larkin.
Hitter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said fielder. That's my fault. But anyway, Nomar and Barry Larkin both had a 975 fielding percentage. Cal Ripken just slightly better over a 21-year career at 977. Obviously, he's got the Ironman 2,600 plus consecutive games in a row. That's for Cal Ripken, not Barry Larkin. Sorry.
Yeah, but he also has the worst OPS.
He does.
The worst OPS plus.
He does.
Just elevated by the fact that he played 85 years.
Frank, you are on the clock with some slim pickings here, bud.
Well, I am going to thank Ryan for gift wrapping me Kenny Lofton. I will take him and continue to add more speed to my lineup.
68.4 wins above replacement, 299 career average, 130 home runs, 781 RBI, 622 stolen bases. I wonder what his caught stealing percentage was. I'm going to get on that real quick. 372 OBP, 423 slugging, 794 OPS, 107 OPS plus, 6-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover.
And one of those things that you won't find in a stat line, I mean, he could drop a bunt down anytime, and you know it was going to turn into a base hit. Like, he knew how to read the defense. He knew how to put the bunt down in a place where the defense, there's nothing they can do about
it. Kenny Lofton stole 622 bases. He was only caught 160 times. That's an 80% success rate.
And I wonder how much of that was at the tail end of his career. I mean, he had wheels. Yeah. So
you are on the clock for pick number 2 here, boss.
Yeah, like you said, slim pickings. But as I alluded to in our conversation earlier, I'm going to go with the guy that every time he steps up to the plate, you can count on him to put the bat on the ball. And most of the time it was for a base hit. I'm going to go Tony Gwynn. I got enough speed in my lineup.
You can't. You can't have Tony Gwynn. You have Barry.
Oh, wait. Oh, because Barry. Oh, crap. All right. Well, after just complimenting the heck out of him, and I'll stay away from third base. All right. I'm going to go back to pitching then. And I'm going to go with the lefty, Tom Gleb.
Is it Tom Gleb?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. 80.7 wins above replacement, 305 career wins, 203 career losses, 354 ERA. It's the second highest out of our little category here. 2,600 plus strikeouts, 1.314 WHIP. He's a Hall of Famer, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 10-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champ. We've talked about it. 4-time Silver Slugger, and he was the World Series MVP in 1995.
So I got a pretty darn good righty and a pretty good lefty.
I'm going to piggyback off of that and take the third of the big three there. I'm taking John Smoltz. Smoltz did, he was a converted closer for a few years there, and all he did his first year as a closer was finish third in Cy Young voting and lead the league in saves at 55.
Yeah, I remember that.
Being a starter and then being a closer, it's two very different mentalities, two very different mindsets. Because as a starter, you get some leeway. You can screw up. As a closer, you can't do that. And John Smoltz was elite at both, which is just something that is unheard of, which is why, you think about the best closer of all time, and not many people talk about the fact that he was a failed starting pitcher, and that's how he got that role in the first place. So,
Rivera?
Yeah. He was a starting pitcher to start his career, and he had like a 6 ERA. He was terrible at it.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so he converted to closer. It's hard to do both. That's why you don't see anybody do it. And John Smoltz did both at a very high level. So
yeah, you're talking
about not only that, I'm getting a guy who can pitch in the World Series. 1 home run in 51 innings is unmatched.
Yeah, you're talking 69 wins above replacement, 213 career wins, 154 career saves, 333 career ERA. He had over 3,000 strikeouts, 1.176 WHIP. He's a Hall of Famer, 1-time Cy Young winner, 8-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion, and he's a 1-time Silver Slugger as well.
Brett Myers-esque, if you will.
And I do lose 3 points, though, because he is a god-awful baseball announcer.
See, I disagree. I actually like listening to John Smith.
I don't really mess with, outside of that Sturgeon, man. I just cannot get behind that ESPN crew. Whoever they have on there, A-Rod was terrible.
A-Rod was awful.
I'm I'm not a Smoltz guy. I like Smoltz better than A-Rod, but that's with A-Rod's, the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, when the playoffs roll around, and Smoltz is on the Fox crew, I like listening to Smoltz. It was Smoltz and who was the Buck, Joe Buck. They were often together. So
yeah, Joe Buck during the 2008 World Series was horrendous. He made a lot of Philadelphia fans very angry.
I like what Joe Buck stands for in the sense that when he's on the TV, that it's a big event and it's something to get hyped about. I just can't.
I was never a Joe Buck guy, but I did like. I liked who he was paired with. Joe Buck did Super Bowls with Troy Aikman, but then did playoff baseball with John Smoltz. I like those guys. A lot more in their second careers than they did in the first.
All right, I got 2 picks here.
We actually have only 3 real picks left.
Well, I'm gonna minimize that for you real quick. I'm taking Tony Gwynn. 69.2 wins above replacement, 338 average, 135 career home runs, 1,138 RBIs, 319 stolen bases, 388 OBP, 459 slugging, which is actually kind of high for a guy that doesn't have a lot of home runs in his career. 847 OPS, doubles machine, 132 OPS plus. He's a Hall of Famer, 15-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glover, 7-time Silver Slugger, 8-time batting title winner. And when you draw out his statistics across his entire career, he would strike out only 29 times per season.
You mentioned his speed, 319 career steals.
I did, yeah, 319 career stolen bases.
Oh, wow.
If it's in the line. But yeah, no. So I'm getting a little bit of speed here. I'm getting a guy who does not strike out, puts the bat on the ball, and can just create opportunities for the team. So I'm very happy with Tony Gwynn. And then I guess I got to go down and essentially finish this out because then there's only one other pick, and we got to wait till Frankie makes it. I'm taking Kurt Schilling over Mike Messina. 79.5 wins above replacement, 216 wins, 146 losses. He was on some really, really, really bad teams early in his career in Philadelphia, by the way. 346 career. Yeah. Brian and I talked about this. Sorry, go ahead.
Good. So I was going to say one team, just many bad lineups throughout the year.
Correct. 346 career ERA. He does have 22 saves. 0.311. I'm sorry. 3,100 plus strikeouts. 1.137 WHIP. He is a 6-time All-Star. He's a 3-time World Series champ. He's a 1-time World Series MVP. That's why he made our list, was because of his performances in the playoffs specifically. So we had to put him on the list.
Yep.
So Kurt Schilling right there. And, we will move forward with Ryan. I think you're all locked up.
I am all locked up.
Tell me who you're
So
going.
I'm going to go ahead. I'll talk about the guy that I want to talk about the most. It's Mike Messina. Hall of Fame pitcher with a 3.70 ERA. He won 270 games, lost 153, 7 Gold Gloves, 5 All-Star appearances, a 1.23 ERA plus, and an 82.8 WAR. Mike Messina retired in 2008, winning 20 games with the New York Yankees, and they called it quits.
He did, yes.
And then the year after that, they went to the World Series. But I just thought that was amazing. Like at 39 years old, he won 20 games and was just like, I'm done with this. Like, he probably could have won 300 games. Like, it's very realistic that if you win 20 games, you can give me 2 to 3 more seasons of 10-plus wins and get really close, if not over 300. So, but this guy spent the entirety of his career in the AL East with daunting Red Sox, Yankees lineups, facing all of that, the same stuff that we talked about with Roy Halladay last week. He faced those same lineups all in the AL East for his entire career. So, 270 wins ain't bad.
He couldn't beat him, so he joined him too. And
well, I mean, nobody could beat him without bad work.
Agreed. I find your little tidbit about him retiring with 20 wins under his belt that final season. What's the influence on you that, maybe if he had kids and he wanted to see them grow up, but yes, being so close to 300 wins, that's a milestone that only few people get to in the history of the game. That's wild.
24 300-game winners, I believe there are in MLB history.
Yeah. 24 in 120.
And we'll never see another one.
Yeah. No, right? You're absolutely right. Who's going to get there? Yeah.
We are gonna have to. I'm not gonna rush you guys, but the laptop battery that's holding the stream is dying, so we're gonna have to get moving. So Frank, you're on the clock.
All right, so we'll go to our last position here where it's still open. I mean, like you guys said earlier, I knew Robin Ventura because he was on the White Sox, and I liked the White Sox as a kid, but it was never really a guy I looked at as being impressive. Whereas Matt Williams had some good years. We got a firsthand look at Matt Williams as he was coaching third base for the Padres when we were at the game a couple weeks ago. Still looks like he's in good baseball shape, but he had some good years. He kind of hid in the shadows of Barry Bonds and even Jeff Kent. But Matt Williams was a good third baseman, and I liked what he did, albeit because he was on the same team as Barry Bonds for a while, didn't get the glory.
Yeah, Matt Williams is rocking a 46.6 wins above replacement, 268 career batting average, 378 home runs, 1,200 plus RBIs, 317 OBP, 489 slugging, 805 OPS, 113 OPS plus. He's a 5-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion, 4-time Gold Glover, 4-time Silver Slugger, and he's a Manager of the Year.
Yep.
With who?
There's another Manager of the Year on here too.
I know he's on my team. Pat Molitor, Paul Molitor, sorry. And your second pick? Sorry.
Did he pick Williams?
So my second pick is
you picked Matt Williams, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah. My second pick is a guy that we in the neighborhood loved. We referenced the Krager earlier. He was Krager's favorite player as a kid growing up. Juan Going Gonzalez, 2-time MVP.
Yeah, 38 replacement, 295 batting average, 434 home runs, 1,400 plus RBIs, 343 OBP, 561 slugging, 904 OPS, 132 OPS plus, and he's a 2-time MVP, not to mention, 3-time All-Star, and 6-time Silver Slugger. You did mention the MVP, but I figured I'd throw it in there again.
Yeah, 2-time MVP, right?
Yes, he did.
All right, so I guess you guys have left me no choice. You have left me with the guy that only hit 295 for his career, got on base at a 369 clip, and only slugged 564 for an OPS of 933. He only hit 380 home runs and only had a 144 OPS plus with 5 All-Star appearances and 5 Silver Sluggers. It's Albert Bell. As far as hitters go, left field in this player pool was absolutely stacked. Bell dropped bombs and ran over second baseman like it was his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second baseman like it was his job. But, Albert Bell was a stud. I mean, for a short period of time, I think that's the biggest thing against him when you look at his resume versus Hall of Famers is they just did it longer, whereas his peak was a little shorter.
Yeah, I would agree with that comment there. Oh, that leaves me. Sorry. I'm just going to go in order. I don't have a first baseman yet. So I'm going to go Rafael Palmeiro here. 71.9 wins above replacement. 288 batting average, 569 home runs, 1,800 plus RBIs, 371 OBP, 515 slugging, 885 OPS, 132 OPS plus, 4-time All-Star, 3-time Golden Glover, 2-time Silver Slugger. Rafael Palmeiro is my first baseman. You guys have also left me with
Ventura and Molitor.
You have left me with Ventura and Molitor. Let's talk about Robin Ventura. 56.1 wins above replacement, 294 home runs, 267 average, 1,100 plus RBIs, 362 OBP, 444 slugging, 806 OPS. And he's a 2-time All-Star, 6-time Golden Glover, and he wasn't super great at the field with a 963 fielding percentage.
And he got his head beat in by Riot.
Yeah, and he's 0-1 lifetime in fights. I'm going to take Bernie Williams, who I thought was a more complete player than Kenny Lofton anyway, but not obviously the kid. There's no way. Bernie Williams is another guy who's a what-if story plagued by injuries, and he just could never stay healthy on the field. I mean, 5-time All-Star, 4 Gold Gloves, so the defense was there. Only 1 Silver Slugger. He hit 297 for his career, got on base at a 381 clip and slugged 477. The OPS was 858. 287 home runs, a 125 OPS plus, a 49.6 WAR. He's just a massive disappointment. He's kind of like in that Jason Bay, Nomar Garcia-Parra category. But if he stayed healthy, would have had a much better, career stat line. But the talent was for sure there.
You got 2 to round out your draft here, Frank.
Yeah. So I mean, you're leaving me Cal Ripken. I'm completely okay with that. So I'll take him first, and you can run down his stats.
95.9 wins above replacement, 276 average. Sorry, I don't know why I said it that way. 276 average, 431 home run, 431 home runs, 1,600 plus RBIs, 340 OBP, 447 slugging, 788 OPS, 112 OPS plus. Obviously, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's a 2-time MVP. He won Rookie of the Year, 19-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion, 2-time Gold Glover, 8-time Silver Slugger, and again, 2,600 plus consecutive games.
Yeah, sucks that I was left with all that. So they're having alumni weekend with the Phillies this weekend, and
on the 93 team,
yeah, 93 and 83 team. But they did a lot of talking about Dutch, and so as a young Phillies fan, he was my favorite player by far. He was and Kruk talked about him a lot in the telecast. He was the general. The guys, every single player on the team looked up to him, respected him. He was the tough guy that you knew would get in the dirt and take pitches, get in front of pitches. He was the guy, and women loved him because he was just downright handsome. But he was the guy as a kid. Like, that's the kind of guy you want to root for.
Yeah, I mean, look, his stats aren't super impressive, but we went back and tried to find another catcher that belonged on the list, and we couldn't really find one.
Yeah.
So nice. We got 22.9 wins above replacement, 245 career batting average, 137 career home runs, 508 RBIs, 357 OBP, 427 slugging, 784 OPS, and 114 OPS plus. He's a 3-time All-Star, so I mean, he was one of the best catchers in the league. He won a World Series. They're at the Marlins at the very end, and he's also a Silver Slugger.
Yeah, so lost the World Series.
He did win, in 1993. That's correct.
Yeah, so my last pick is Chuck Novak. This guy started off his career hot. Rookie of the Year award, 4-time All-Star, Gold Glover, 2-time Silver Slugger. He was kind of your prototypical second baseman, not a lot of power. Didn't really do anything particularly excellent. 289 hitter, did get on base at a 378 clip for an OPS of 783. But he went downhill after his rookie year, and I don't understand really what happened with him, but he just kind of became, went from great high potential to middle of the pack player. And Chuck Novak, another what if case.
A lot of them on this list.
If you guys ever saw the videos, so at the tail end of his career, I remember this being such a phenomenon. But he got a real bad case of the yips, and from second base, just could not hit the first baseman with a throw. And it was so odd. And I mean, as a kid, who had played baseball all my life, I couldn't understand that. And it just oddly enough, I experienced it a little bit in adult league softball. It's a fair comparison, right? But you just get it gets in your head so much that you can't physically do it. It's like the catcher in Major League. He couldn't hit the first baseman from second base. It was wild.
That's impressive. Or I'm sorry, that's not impressive. That's again, there are a lot of those cases that Ryan just said, like the what if case, right? Like, what if that doesn't happen? What kind of player are we talking about right now? All right, the last pick in my draft, Paul Molitor. You guys left.
Yeah, that's such a bad last.
Yeah, 75.1 wins above replacement, 306 career batting average, 234 home runs, 1,300 plus RBIs, 504 stolen bases out of a DH hitter, 369 OBP, 448
out of a designated hitter.
Yeah, designated hitter. You got that right. 817 OPS, 122 OPS plus. He's a Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champ, 4-time Silver Slugger, and he's also a Manager of the Year, as we pointed out. So our teams are as follows.
Frankie has Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Frank Thomas, Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, Kenny Lofton, Tom Glavine, Matt Williams, Juan Gonzalez, Cal Ripken, Darren Dalton. I have Chipper Jones, Ivan Rodriguez, Larry Walker, Edgar Martinez, Mark McGuire, Barry Larkin, John Smoltz, Mike Messina, Albert Bell, Bernie Williams, Chuck Knobloch. Bill has Ken Griffey Jr., Mike Piazza, Nomar Garcia-Parra, Greg Maddux, Roberto Alomar, Sammy Sosa, Tony Gwynn, Kurt Schilling, Rafael Palmeiro, Robin Ventura, Paul Molitor.
I like my team.
As do I.
My team's hitting bombs and nobody's running on me. We're winning.
That's funny.
But we would sit and chat with you a little bit longer here, Frank.
No, I get it. Yeah,
we are on a laptop dying situation here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna. You want to call me in, or can I just fire away? Coming to the Bill Pen here. Thanks for joining us here on BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Thank you and have a good night. Doc, what are you doing?